whenever I do my seasonal upgrade of my wardrobe, somehow my underwear drawer fails every time. Like mystery pairs from a few years ago in fabric that gave up somewhere around 2020. Why do we hold on to these things? So I finally did something about it thanks to our sponsor, MeUndies. Honestly, my old underwear is now unemployed. The second you feel the fabric, you get it. It's that buttery soft, breathable, lightweight ultramodal that works, especially when it's hot and you're wearing as little as possible. No digging, no bunching, no riding up, just all-day comfort. And the prints, so fun. My drawer went from chaotic grab bag to, ooh, what am I wearing today? And they've got styles for everyone. Classic basics to bold seasonal prints. Sizes extra small to 4XL, all designed to actually fit real bodies. Plus, they used responsibly sourced materials, and if your first pair isn't love at first wear, their problem-free philosophy has you covered. Over 30 million pairs sold and 90,000 five-star reviews. So yeah, it's not just me. I'm loving this beautiful red matching bralette and high-waisted undie set that I got, and I've been actually giving the same thing to my girlfriends for their birthdays. Big hit. I also swapped out some of Nippy's outdated boxers because, yeah, he needed an upgrade too. Everybody's grateful all around. And people, it's just time to let your old underwear go sometimes, respectfully. Right now, as a listener of our show, you can get up to 50% off your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/culty. Promo code culty. That's up to 50% off plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/culty. Promo code culty.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Welcome back to part 2 with Melissa Duge Spiers. Let's roll.
As a reminder, if you've not listened to part 1, you might want to do that because this won't make sense.
Our audience
They probably know that by now.
Yeah, they know that by now. Don't underestimate them.
Melissa, you left us on such a cliffhanger.
I think that was you.
I left us on such a cliffhanger. But we're dying to know because you're living in these worlds where you haven't healed. You think you're free, but you haven't healed the core trauma, the religious trauma that was your upbringing. But you think that you're out. Tell us about the phone call with your dad and everything that transpired after that.
The WTF moment.
The WTF moment.
All right. The WTF moment. So I was in the middle of my second marriage and got a phone call from my dad out of the blue. Now, my father had been, when I was a very small child and when I was born, he had been a Seventh-day Adventist youth pastor. He had gone to the Adventist seminary. And then when I was about 5, 6, something like that, he went to the Adventist medical school, became a doctor. And so most of my childhood and young adulthood, he was a doctor. And about the time that I got married to my first husband, so about the time we got married, my dad retired from medicine. He was very young. He was like 50 something. And he became a pastor again. He became a pastor of a church as his retirement job. So I got a call from him and he said he was being removed from that pastor job because a woman had called the church and the conference. All Adventist churches are run by this conference hierarchy. She had called and said that he had a relationship with her when she was very young, when he was a youth pastor. And she said he was a danger to children and he should not be allowed to pastor. And that was the life-breaking point for me, really, because my dad had always just been my hero. He had been a big person in the church. He'd preached and done all these missionary trips. And he was kind of the Adventist unicorn because he was both a doctor and a preacher. So, he was a real missionary prize. And he was just wonderful. He had been my kind of intellectual mentor and funny and, just adored him. If you had asked me up until that point, who was the bad guy and who was the good guy in my parental relationship, it was no question. My mom was a bad guy. My dad was the good guy. And it was devastating. And because of the weird sexual dynamics in that first marriage, which people have to read the book to find out, I knew that was the end of my marriage at that time. It was just too weird. So first marriage broke up, but I was already involved with another guy who became my second husband. My dad was removed from his job. And the deal that the church made with this woman was that if she would not sue and she would not go public with the story, they would remove my dad forever from the Adventist structure, pastoring or doing any kind of public facing for the Adventist Church or interacting with people. So she agreed to it, apparently. So I confronted my parents about it and found out that there was more than one girl from that time period that he had been involved with. And nobody else in the family wanted to deal with it. It was just me. Everyone else would not talk about it. Extended family, my sister. So we all just kind of went limping onward for a few years. And then when I had children, I started looking at schools in my area, and there was an Adventist school in my area that there was a news article about, and they had a huge sexual scandal there. And I was like, the fucking Adventists, let me read this article. And they had interviewed a woman in the article, and they gave her name. And I'm reading what she had to say about, because they were just talking about Adventist sexual scandals in general. And I just and I can still feel it in my core today. Like it just sank. And I was like, she's talking about my dad. And there was a name. So I wrote to her and I said, hey, you know what? You may not want to hear from me, but I feel like I have not gotten the truth on this story. And if you are willing to talk to me, can you? And in the book, I call her Dr. Z because she is a wonderful friend at this point. We've been friends for 20 something years, and she's an amazing person, just doesn't want to, she's living her life now and she doesn't want to be involved at all. So she was very free and giving to me with all the details, in fact, more details than I wanted about what had happened to her. And I was so obsessed with trying to figure out who my dad was through this story. Like, who is this person that I always thought was just magic and it did all these horrible things that I couldn't quite meet her where she was at. And her anger was not as much addressed at him anymore because she had gotten to confront him as part of that process at the church. She had gotten to just lay it all out in her adulthood of you know what, asshole, you did this, that, and that. She'd gotten, do you ever get justice? No. Right. But she got to say her piece. But what she was most angry about was the fact that after the church said, yeah, they would remove my dad from everything, not even a month later, he was preaching at 2 other churches. His sermons were on YouTube. So she felt so now betrayed, lied to, dismissed, belittled for another time. They'd done it to her when she was a kid and then now again. And I didn't have the bandwidth at that point to join her in that anger. I was just like, whatever, I need answers about my dad and, whatever. And I don't care about the church. And so we kind of went in and out of friendship for several years. And she was just always really supportive whenever I had questions. And then just about around COVID, pre-COVID, I had been writing about this all the way along because I'm a writer. I have always been a writer, and I started to write a book about these experiences. And I thought, again, the book was about finding out that my dad had been this child predator. And I would, again, put the book away sometimes, bring it back out. And right before COVID, I entered it in a contest for unfinished manuscripts, and I won. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should start really focusing on this book. But I didn't know where it was going to go yet. And I also started social media accounts. And my idea was just to start processing this weird childhood that I had. I'm just going to speak out about this weird church that I grew up in that nobody knows about, right? I was just like, I'm going to blow the cover off this secretive church. And as soon as I started speaking about it online, first of all, I just got lots and lots of people who were like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. You guys aren't the only people who've never heard of the Adventist Church. Like, people who leave the Adventist Church never hear of anyone else who leaves the church. It's just like, we all thought we were off on our own and we were the only person who'd done it. So I started building this wonderful supportive community online. And part of that was that so many people started telling me their stories. And I hadn't even talked yet about my dad, but people just started talking about their abuse in the Adventist Church just over and over again. I heard all these stories. So at that point, I went back to Dr. Z and was like, wow, this is a thing. This is a thing. And she was like, yeah, and you really need to look at the church. They have done so many bad things. She's the person who told me that they had been responsible largely for conversion therapy in the United States. They had actually been circumcising women, like female genital mutilation, up until the 60s. She had it recommended for her. I found a film that interviewed another Adventist girl who'd had been mutilated at the age of 3. So conversion therapy, it was an Adventist pastor, very disgraced multiple times, Adventist pastor Colin Cook, who he started the whole, you can convert from being gay.
Got it.
If you just pray hard enough, we can get rid of your gayness, blah, blah, blah. And so he would start all these organizations, and then he would have relationships, and it would be a big scandal, and he would be disgraced. And then he would start another organization. It would happen over and over again. But he moved into the mainstream. He was on I don't know, Dr. Phil or whoever it was, Donahue, maybe, I don't know. And even though he kept being disgraced and conversion therapy was proven to be wrong, dangerous, causing, horrible, doesn't work, the Adventists kept funding him anyway. And they still, to this day, have a conversion therapy organization called Coming Together Ministries.
Oh, my God.
Is that for real?
They really need a new PR person.
The fact that they're still standing that's just terrible. Anyway,
it's amazing. It's so amazing, isn't it? It's just terrible. But so then the female genital mutilation is something different. That was started, again, by Kellogg way back when. He is the reason that that most boys were for a long time circumcised in the United States. He thought, again, it prevented masturbation. If you give them a little pain, they won't play with themselves. I mean, totally sadistic.
Not true.
And he recommended it for women also. But for men, generally, they can still function after circumcision, whereas women generally not, because it removes the clitoris, right? So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so Kellogg started that when they weren't able to sell it very well as sex prevention for boys. Then they switched messaging to it's an uncleanliness issue. And that's what I was even hearing when I had children was, you want to circumcise your boys because it's unclean. And so thank goodness things have shifted and people are moving away from mutilating people. But so Adventists, again, in their long need to control sex, that was part of it. And so Dr. Z was part of shoving me toward, or guiding me toward, look at all these weird things that church did and look at their weird sexual obsessions. And this is a huge problem. So it was her and it was social media where I was just like, wow, first of all, my book is not about my dad's story. It's about my story and how I've been playing out this weird sexual bizarreness in my entire life, and about how the church needs accountability and has not had it yet. So I would say hearing about Dad the first time was the life-changing, and then meeting Dr. Z was another life-changing. And from there on, it's been growth and healing and screaming into the void.
As you're talking, I don't know if you'll relate to this or not, but I don't know, it was probably 4 years after our situation where I was actually able to just go, wait, we were a victim of a crime, right? Really go, wait, my life, I was a victim of a crime. I was in the crossfire of a crime. And that language, I guess you could have said it to me, I would have missed it, but there was a moment where I took that in. I was like, yeah, wait, when we helped put a criminal in jail. So in a lot of ways, I'm hearing your story. It's like, you're a victim of a crime. That's a crime in my book.
Yeah.
You show up to a culture and society and it's going on, say, in an isolated island somewhere, and I see these behaviors and I have an opportunity to end them. I'm going to end them because I can. Because I would look at that behavior and go, that's a fucking crime. No one's going to miss this behavior.
Yeah.
It's not adding value. Sometimes we talk about coercion, we talk about a lot of the stuff on our podcast, and then just when I hear certain things, I hear that's a fucking crime, and that needs to stop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I think labeling things with the correct, like a crime, and the fact when we were all indoctrinated, that's child abuse. That's psychological
crime.
child abuse,
And if I came across that, I'd smack the person doing the behavior.
Even cult podcasts need sponsors. Check out these must-haves. Okay, people, if you know me by now, you know that I don't gatekeep. I share all the good news. And thanks to our sponsor, Wayfair, I'm going to tell you about something very exciting. It's called Way Day. It's basically the Super Bowl of home shopping, and it's happening April 25th to 27th. We're talking up to 80% off with free shipping on everything. Yes, everything. And if you're like me, you also have a list of everything you want to change in your home or fix. Maybe you've been side-eyeing your living room or thinking that your patio deserves a glow-up. This is the moment. Wayfair makes it ridiculously easy to find exactly what fits your style and budget. Furniture, decor, outdoor stuff, it's all on sale. I'm personally eyeing a little piece to go by the front door with a shelf for the shoes at the bottom. Why there's so many shoes in the house all the time? And drawers on the top for all the life stuff, keys, earbuds, lip gloss, because it's time to get organized here in the Ames. Because it's time to get organized here at the Edmondson Ames household, and Wayfair is our personal one-stop shop to make that happen. We also love how easy it is to shop, the filters, the reviews, the photos. It's like having thousands of people help you avoid a bad decision. Plus, Wayfair Verified is basically your shortcut to the good stuff. They vet products with a full quality checklist so you know what you're getting, and we can always trust the quality. And if you're not exactly assembly inclined like Nippy and I, they've also got installation options too, which have honestly saved us from at least one marriage-ending furniture situation. Fast, free shipping, huge deals, no guesswork. Way Day is the sale to shop the best deals in-home. We're talking up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head to wayfair.com April 25th through 27th to shop Way Day. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair. Every style, every home. Happy shopping.
I've been cleaning out my closet lately. And by cleaning out my closet lately, I've been asking myself, will I ever wear this again? And to me, that's personal growth. So now I'm focusing on quality over quantity. Pieces that are well made, versatile, and actually easy to throw on without a full outfit crisis. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are thoughtful, and the pricing doesn't make me spiral. They've got beautiful staples made from 100% European linen, organic cotton, and really soft denim, with styles starting at around $50. Their spring pieces are lightweight, breathable, and effortlessly put together. And it's not just clothing. Their accessories are great too. Their leather bags are made from 100% hand-woven Italian leather and generally look way more expensive than they are. Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middleman, so you're getting high-quality pieces without the brand markup, which means fewer regrets and way better outfits. Personally, I like the ultra-stretch 24/7 Smart Chinos Athletic Tapered. I got my coffee bean brown pants in blue, and I'm waiting for the khaki as we speak. I wore them in Europe, and the Europeans couldn't get their eyes off me. Right, Sarah? Right, Nippy? Refresh your spring wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/culty for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. Go to quince.com/culty for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/culty. If I signed up for Mint Mobile right now, I'd be dodging those wild wireless bills, the sneaky fees, and those so-called free perks that somehow cost you more in the long run. At some point, you have to ask, why are we still doing this to ourselves? Mint Mobile exists to fix exactly that. No drama, no nonsense, just premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. You still get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, just without the financial betrayal. And the switch is weirdly easy. Bring your phone, keep your number, activate with eSIM in minutes, and boom, you're saving money. No long-term contracts, no hoops to jump through. So yeah, maybe it's time to break up with your overpriced wireless situation. Next time my contract's up, this is exactly what I'm using. Get 3 months of premium service for $15 a month with Mint Mobile and keep a little more cash in your pocket where it belongs. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/culty. That's mintmobile.com/culty. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, 5 gigabyte plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Thank you, sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. Now let's get back to the show. I didn't get to this part in your book, so will you tell us, did you ever get to have another confrontation with your father, or where are you at with your parents with all this now?
Yeah, I have never had further. Actually, this coming weekend, I have to go down and tell him about the book. I have not told him yet about the book. So that's going to be a nice conversation. But my parents are both, they're still physically with us, but not terribly, they're old. They're in their mid to upper 80s. And my mom is definitely in middle stages of Alzheimer's, and my dad's not terribly far behind. And so their interaction with truth and facts and everything is not real there anymore. So part of my healing process was realizing that the fiction of closure is not really, I was never going to get answers. My parents were never going to tell me the truth. Even if I forced another 10 conversations, I was still going to get their strange version, now hidden by 50 years or whatever. So I really making peace with the fact that I will never have all the answers and never have that closure has been a really big part of just claiming myself, really, and being like, I don't need to know because I'm going on with me.
And you did get some information filled in from Dr. Z. Was there other women that came forward about your dad as well?
Well, no one has come forward. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the book because as we all know, things are repeat. And he definitely was enabled by the church heavily. She was told that she was so just to give perspective, because I call him talking about terminology and how putting the exact words is important. So he is a child predator and he was a groomer. So he took girls 12, 14, 16 years old. And it was a whole, like Dr. Z told me, she said, I thought we had a relationship. He told me he loved me. He told me this was normal in all cultures except ours. So the grooming and manipulation of it is just horrifying. So that was, I guess, the age group that he gravitated toward. And I have serious questions about his upbringing because as we know, often predators choose the age group in which they were. And just to give a little background, he was pushed very heavily academically by his parents so that he was always about 2 or 3 years younger than his classmates and everybody. He graduated from high school at 15 and he was sent away to boarding school at 11. He was very small. He was this very small, pretty little boy. I don't imagine boarding school was a terribly safe space for him. I don't know. I've talked to other family members who say, yeah, that seems traceable. And again, that is not to give any excuse to anything, but it is interesting to look at the bigger picture because there are always these contributing factors. And I think that's probably why he gravitated toward that age group.
Yeah. It's important to be able to explore those things without people saying you're trying to make an excuse for it.
Yeah.
You have to deepen you have to deepen the understanding of it, and you have to talk about things so it's preventable in the future. You need language for it.
And so that other people can see themselves in their story. I think people who were victims of predators sometimes make light of their own experience because, it wasn't so bad. I wasn't absolutely forced when I was 3, so, and they actually don't feel like their abuse was bad enough. And by saying, yes, it was, a child predator is manipulation and it's, it's grooming and it's, I think hopefully people can see themselves better in that spectrum. It didn't have to just happen to you when you were 3 and you had no choice. It could have been this weird, gross, awful abuse of power and seduction, which was horrible, and you are equally a victim.
It's interesting you mentioned that about Dr. Z saying that your dad had said that this is normal in other cultures, because I feel like that's something, I don't know how much you know about our story, but Keith Raniere also talked about how the age of consent and all those things are in other cultures is different, as if that makes it okay here.
Yeah.
And almost every single situation like this that we've covered in the podcast, that's part of the angle, whether it's David Koresh with the young women. And is always it might not be legal here, but it's legal in other places, therefore it's fine.
Right. And look at the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Barf.
Bible's not doing well on a lot of those things.
Not doing well.
Oh, man.
And we didn't get to it in your book, but like what happened with your second marriage and your kids, and how did you get out and heal, and when did the word cult come into your understanding?
It was kind of an explosive end, not the second marriage. I followed my pattern. The second marriage, instead of dealing with the hard stuff and going for growth, I went back to what I knew. And I left my second husband for an extremely abusive man and very domineering, very controlling. And I was with him for about 10 years. And it was literally a dangerous relationship. And I was still in that in that pre-COVID time when I started working on my book and I reconnected with Dr. Z and I started talking about Adventism. And along with joining social media, I started to look at accounts about narcissistic abuse.
I knew you were going to say that. So makes great.
And I started to see, like, of course, the church is a narcissistic abuse. The God of the Bible is the biggest, like, freaking narcissistic abuser
How
ever.
can it be?
Yeah.
Right?
How can it be? And how can it not attract those people?
Yeah, exactly. And I started to realize, like, oh my gosh, first of all, this man I'm involved with, wow, ticks all the boxes of not only narcissism, but all the cluster B personality disorders. And God in the Bible did. And then Daniela Mesniak-Young, I saw a video of hers where she talked about cults of one, just one-on-one cults. And I was like, that's what I'm in. I'm in that with this man. In the book, I call him Jesse. So it was this big just conglomeration of stuff. And I literally kind of just imploded. It just all hit me at once. And I knew I needed to get out, but I didn't know how. And it was dangerous. And I was living at the time I was living with him and my kids in a town that's extraordinarily expensive, but we had to live there so that my kids could share time with their dad. And there was very limited housing stock because we had just had a bunch of wildfires. So many of the houses were destroyed. So like to find my own place was not possible for me. And so I really felt trapped in just so many ways, trapped. Then I got kicked out of that housing that's a story for the book, but by the person who owned the housing. And I think it was intended as a total insult, destruction, horrible thing to me. And I remember telling my therapist, and I was in tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to find a place that will take me and Jesse and my kids. And Jesse was always a problem. He was always making problems for everybody. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And she was like, you're leaving him is what you're doing. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess I could. So I did. I just took my kids and I had to move really far away. We spent the better part of 2 or 3 years until they were done with their schooling, driving hours a day to get them to their school and back because that was the only place I could find housing. It was very far outside the expensive city, but it was wonderful. It was the first time I'd ever been alone my entire adult life, other than my kids, but I don't. They're just a magical presence. But it was the first time I made my own decisions, really, and that I could just be me. And it was the beginning of just like forever ramp up.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The universe opens up when you bet on yourself. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So you saw the video about Cult of One, which, by the way, we have a new book coming out. We have a whole chapter on that, and we'll make sure that you get that book when it's
we've
ready.
done an interview with Dr. Ramani. You should
Dr.
She's in our catalog. We've interviewed her twice. Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah. If you haven't heard those episodes, I think you'd like them.
Oh my God.
Okay. I will go back and I'm looking forward to your book. Woo.
You'll be emailing and texting us once you listen to that episode.
Okay.
Go down her rabbit hole too.
Well, there's a few episodes, Cult of One, I will mention, and I want to keep this in here if anyone's listening who wants to make the connection. One with Sarma Mangalis, who was in the docuseries Bad Vegan.
Okay.
Her book, by the way, also The Girl with the Duck Tattoo. I think you'd really get something out of that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll email these to you. You don't have to write them down. It's okay. And then the other one with Evan Rachel Wood, who was with Marilyn Manson.
Yes.
And she's got a docuseries called Phoenix Rising, which is incredible. Those are some of our favorite episodes.
Okay.
A cult of
Okay.
one. I told you I was going to give you unsolicited advice. That's my.
Here it
I
comes.
I
love
told
it.
you.
Oh.
Here it comes.
No, I'm always looking for more material. You have
Yes.
to keep reinforcing it. You have to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
Well-
because you can get doubt in there.
Mm-hmm.
You seem like you're so articulate, and it feels like you're very healed. Tell us what you've been doing to take care of yourself?
There's a strong foundation for you, I think, that you laid on your own. That I think, from what I've gathered, it seems like a really strong foundation for you to be open to this and be able to understand it. Because you snuck off the libraries and read, you went to college. Emotionally, it's a hard pivot. Intellectually, I don't think it's a hard pivot.
That's an important distinction. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say reading, of course, first and foremost, just reading everything I can get my hands on. Again, the social media, the narcissistic abuse community, I still very much watch all the time. And then the ex-religious, ex-cult, all of that, reading all the books. And then, of course, therapy, and therapy was thrown at me at various parts of my life. And this is for anyone listening who thinks that their partner needs therapy. Don't wait for a fight and be like, you need therapy, you're fucked up. It doesn't work like that. So I would hear that and I'd be like, yeah, well, it takes one to know one, and be not even. I realized just on my own, I needed. So I found a religious trauma therapist, and I've been working with her since that epiphany pre-COVID, where everything imploded. And she told me I was leaving. And I've also added a second therapist recently who does microdosing and psilocybin, like deep dives and stuff. And that has been phenomenal. Yeah. So I'm keeping her. She's grand. And we'll have to talk sometime offline about our deep dives, because wow.
Is she local to you? Or is she online?
She is not. She's actually all the way across the country, but she comes to my area every few months or so. So she schedules her people on her. So
where are you? Do you mind me asking? Is that private?
In the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. Yeah.
Oh, Bay Area. Okay.
And we do our Zooms, our weekly Zooms, where she also does, what is it called? Family systems.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'd like her contact, please, because I want to do that.
She's amazing. She also has been leading for like 25 years people on ayahuasca trips down to South America. I'm not brave enough for that yet.
No, me neither.
But someday, maybe? I don't know. But
no.
Well, it's a soft science.
I don't like barfing.
Also, you're staring into something that we don't have a whole lot of intel and forensics on.
Yeah, it's
true.
true.
I'm a huge proponent. You stare into the abyss, it looks into you, and if you don't know what you're doing, it just scares me. That's all. That's where I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I am a big proponent of the microdosing, and it's been a big part of my anxiety. And I think we're very similar in the people-pleasing perfectionist realm. So that's good for us. And at the same time, that it's a new burgeoning field, right? It's trending. That it's also very ripe for predators and charlatans and abusers, and people have to be so careful about
definitely
committing to that path. So that was my little plug and caveat.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. So you've done a lot of healing, and you're writing this book, and it comes out when?
It
March
comes
31st.
out. Pre-orders are open now, and the hard release launch date is March 31st. So it's in about 2 weeks. So
okay, great. So we'll make sure.
Episode.
Yeah, we'll make sure this episode is just around then, so it helps with your book sales.
Do some Instagramming.
Yes, maybe we could do a follow-up, like Instagram Live.
We can tag the Advents.
Yeah, we'll tag the Advents. Are they going to come after us? Are they litigious?
Oh, they're so litigious, but they've got a whole arm of legal everything. But I mean, what can they say? We've said all truth about them, including the fact that social media sucks. Your social media sucks.
Is that slander to say your social media?
No, because you have to prove that it's not true, and they can't. Because assemble any jury and we will agree with us. It sucks.
You sound
it's 100% a shitty Instagram grid. That's just fact.
Now you're being mean.
That's
now you're punching down.
Just fact.
Now you're punching down.
Empirically provable.
Empirically provable. Okay, and you're going to narrate the Audible, which is great. How's that process been for you? Did you find it cathartic?
Oh my goodness. So cathartic. And I'm about halfway through. And in the very beginning, I kind of dreaded it, just like I dreaded writing some of the hard parts. Like it's hard to put yourself back in there willingly. And now I'm so enjoying it. For the first time, I cried when I read the chapter that I was reading yesterday. And I think that's going to happen more and more as I go along. But it's so cathartic. And just for me, I would really want to hear the author. Like, I'm a reader, so I don't listen to books, so I don't really have a lot of experience, but I would want to hear the author going through those emotions and that stuff. So I hope people connect with it. I really do.
I'm sure they will. And when it comes out, I do like to read. I did like to read before the cult and as a little girl, but post-cult, I'm a listener because I just can't sit still to read anymore. So I listen, and I think
Inner peace.
I'm searching for inner peace.
Inner peace.
But meanwhile, I listen to audibles, and I will definitely listen to yours. And I think it's going to be great. And
I think it's a great book.
It's a really great book.
Thank
And
you.
it should be, and
3/4 of it.
I also feel like
that I know of.
Should be a movie too, like, or a series or something, because it's pretty cinematic.
You have?
Yeah, I've had people reach out already about
Really?
Converting it into either a limited series or film. So we'll see. A lot of the time, those offers are made and they never come true. But
trust me.
Knock on
Trust
wood.
me.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, we've been to the
flirted
1
with
yard
that
line
way too many times, but
We've had like 6 or 7. Like, we're like, every time they talk to us, we're like, yeah, sure.
Right,
but it's
exactly.
It's the fact that things get made in Hollywood still surprises me on a daily basis.
Well, AI now.
Yeah.
Truly.
But,
and then some of the really bad stuff that gets made, and you're like, how did that do?
But assuming it goes, who's going to play you, ideally?
Somebody who was actually asking me to put together a pitch deck asked me that yesterday for the first time, and I was like, oh, who would play me? It's really bad. I don't know modern actors. Like,
I don't either.
I would have loved to have Jodie Foster play me 30 years ago, right? And so I don't even know who any of the people are who
We're
are
out
like
of
my
touch
teenage.
I don't either. I don't know any of that world.
I mean, I love Zendaya. She's about the only one I know who's young enough to, but
there's managers and agents out there who will help with this,
true.
But I feel like it's destined to happen.
Time to deprogram. Listen up for our sponsor's latest offer. Thanks for listening. Now let's resume our culty convo.
I keep meaning to ask this. Should people not be buying Kellogg? I mean, I don't buy Kellogg cereal, but should people not buy Kellogg's? Does that support the Adventist Church in any way?
No, it is fine now. I mean, I don't know. Kellogg's may support a bunch of horrible other things. They may be supporting Jeff Bezos or whatever at this point. But way back when, Ellen White and Kellogg had a complete rift because supposedly it was over some doctrine or something. But most people say Ellen White was not getting a big enough piece of the Kellogg cereal pie. And she was mad about the finances. So it was separated long ago. Kellogg, by the time he died, was not an Adventist, or at least part of the church.
Okay.
So you can
good
buy
to know.
cornflakes. Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so your book comes out soon. It's a story of radical honesty and freedom. What do you hope readers take away from the book?
I hope they take away that leaving does not equal healing. And it's so easy. I mean, leaving is hard on its own, but it's so easy. And that's such a struggle to just get to that point that it's easy to say, oh, that's fine. I did enough. I left. And that's just the beginning, sorry to say. And you've got to keep doing all of your work and all of your healing and continue to deconstruct. I'm still unpacking a lot of stuff and will be for life. And it's a path. It's not a hard line. So please continue your deconstruction and your healing after you leave the high control system. And just also that it's way better out here. It's way better on this side.
I agree. I think that's our soundbite for social media. Sandra, please note that in the show note or in the editing for our social media. I think that's really a lovely thing, that clip that needs to be shared, because I think, at least for us, with NXIVM, a lot of people left when we, exposed what we exposed, but then didn't.
Yeah, they raw dogged it.
They raw dogged it and just was like, oh yeah, I guess I was in that. And then they didn't do any healing. And there's just the cult hopping. And as you know, from going to the one.
We think they're secretly listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah. And there's some who won't do any of that. So I agree with you. I do think there's a lot of, it's important to leave. Yes, great. Cheers. Hurrah. And then the path of healing. Very important.
Put language to it. You have to put language to it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. We didn't talk about we have 5 minutes. Tell us what's happening with the tort.
Oh my goodness, the mass
stuff.
tort lawsuit. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
this is so important. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. This is a major note to go out on. So there has never been a full lawsuit. There have been lots of lawsuits against the Adventist Church for sexual abuse. One of the biggest ones was about Miracle Meadows, a boarding school, which was just huge a few years ago, but there has never been anything just representing all the victims. So I was lucky enough. When I first started on my social media, I started maintaining lists of everybody's story that told me anything about the abuse that they'd had. And so I have these huge documents at this point. And I didn't know why I was doing it. I just felt like someone needed to keep a record, and I was never going to share them or do anything. And then I got contacted by this Pintus and Mullins, if anyone needs to, it's Pintus and Mullins. It's a personal injury law firm in Chicago. And they opened, as of January 2026, a mass tort lawsuit against the Seventh-day Adventist Church representing any sexual abuse victims. I was able to help them with the stories that I was allowed to share to establish. So if anybody is unclear as to what a mass tort is versus a class action, they're very different. And a class action is one suit where you get one lump sum if you win, and it is divided among all the people that were part of that lawsuit. And you can only join it at a certain time. There's a cutoff date, then the lawsuit goes through and it's done. You split the proceeds. Mass tort, Pintus and Mullins has been carrying one on against the Catholic Church forever. It builds on a central tenet that is showing the pattern of abuse and the repetition, etc. And so they are suing the church, but it's individual based on all this pattern that they can prove. But it's individual cases that they take as an individual, and you get your own settlement, you get your own lawsuit, but anybody's suit, then the details from that help everyone else's because, again, it shows the pattern, it shows the repetition, it shows the organized denial, sweeping under the rug, etc. So very important. It's a long time coming, and I had a very tiny part in it, but I am so proud and so thrilled. And anybody who wants to call them, they are open to hearing anybody's story and deciding whether they can make a case out of it or not.
Great. We'll make sure that information is also in the show notes.
Okay.
Amazing. Well, that's such a positive note to end on because justice is so often not served.
It's pretty rare. No, it's good to hear.
Yeah. Well, so many people I feel like could go through something like what you went through and then just disappear. And it's amazing that you've really decided to put your life force, into this. And congrats. And thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Melissa, it was fun. I wouldn't say it's a fun read, but it was a great read.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was fun. I mean, it had fun parts, but that's not really the point of the book. So I don't think fun's the appropriate word, but I think you get what I'm saying.
No, I hope that people don't take it as entirely grim. Like there's humor in it. To me, it's very funny. It's a bit of a black comedy, and I don't mean to make light of the hard things, but you've got to laugh at some things.
For sure.
That's been a big part of our healing journey. Yeah. And not everybody's there yet. You know what I mean? Some people just can't fathom that. But
certain podcasts we don't joke around.
Yeah. And I feel like it is eventually something that everyone goes through at some point with whatever happened to them. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not a therapist.
Right away, I had the jokes in the back of my head and was going to wait for the times. And my story, not yours. Like I had all the jokes ready. And I was like, those probably aren't appropriate for another year.
I'll send you a copy of, I know the book's coming, but I also have a memoir of what happened to me in Nexium. And I was branded with the leader's initials. Okay. And the leader's name was Keith Raniere. And so I had KR on my body. And Nippy would say it was
Keith Richards. So the guy from People magazine who comes up to interview us from LA when we were living in Vancouver comes in, he's like doing the appropriate, hey, just want to make sure everyone's and in my mind, I'm like, oh, I could fuck with this guy right now. And he's like, so what, he's being gentle, and appropriately so, because he doesn't know what he's looking at. And I deadpan, I go, well, listen, when she told me it was Keith Richards, so I was cool with it, And I kind of delivered it like that. And there was a moment where I never forget, he's in our kitchen, he kind of looks at me. And he's like, I go, I'm just fucking kidding. He goes, oh my God. He's like, I was like, dude, we could talk about this. We've been talking about it for months now. Relax. You're good.
And not to say we weren't fucking traumatized. No, we were in deep trauma, but just humor was sort of one of our methods.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. You've got to. If you don't laugh, you cry sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Crying's okay, but laughing
What's
is...
the alternative? Yeah.
And sometimes you have to laugh so hard that you cry, which is also good.
Yes, true.
But that's how we get through it. Right, babe?
Yes, I'm the funny one. Yeah.
Melissa, where can people find you? Tell us your socials and all that.
If you want just serious thoughts and writing, I am on Substack as Melissa Duge Spiers. I am also on my social media is TikTok and Instagram as The Glory Hole. And you have to spell that hole with a W, W-H-O-L-E, because otherwise you'll end up where you don't want to be.
Hotmoms.com. Remember that one, Sarah?
Yeah.
Sarah has a little story about that.
Oh, I'll save it for after we end. Thank you so much, Melissa. You're a sweetheart and an incredible writer and a brave soul and a dedicated person to the truth. So it's really an honor to meet you.
Great meeting you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for reading it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to finish now. All right, everybody. That was an epic two-parter. Thanks, Melissa, for coming on.
She's dope. I like her.
Buy her book. It's
Get her book.
Out now wherever you buy books. And, might as well buy ours too while you're at it.
There we go.
2 for 1 it. 2 for 1. We love
put
that.
2 in the cart.
Put both in the cart. See what happens.
2 in the cart. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. You're doing that. That's your head.
We are just ready for a break. Ready for a break. Anyway, hope that was enjoyable for y'all. We certainly had a good time. Book's fantastic.
All right. You did something. End of the episode. Stay tuned for part 2. What is it, Sarah?
What?
You plugged it right here. Remember I said you're plugging, you're doing the Instagram thing?
The end of part 2 was her news about the civil case. That was the news.
Oh.
It's not in ours.
Carry on, as you are.
See you next time with another incredible book to read, this time by Harrison Hill, who wrote The Oracle's Daughter, which should be out by the time it drops. Check it out. This is like a book club now.
I know. We have turned into a book club.
Maybe that's next.
We wrote one. So now we're kind of like...
I wrote 2, actually.
Oh, look at you. Look at that flex.
I was a green sash. You were just an orange sash.
I wouldn't boast that. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the wave of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Rutherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Leslie Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Namoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.